there! My name is Al. Today I am looking at a deck. I am looking at my favorite deck, Chien Pao EX. So, this is a great deck in my opinion, but right now it has not been doing hot because it has a lot of things going against it. But I want to see, how can Team Rocket, the new Team Rocket cards from Destined Rivals, help Chien Pao? Can it help? How are we going to see this deck moving forward? Can we make it relevant? I don't know. We're going to talk about that stuff today because we are having the release of Destined Rivals just coming up. It's already kind of loose with pre-releases, and a lot of new cards, the Team Rocket cards, can potentially be put in a deck like Chien Pao to buff it up and hopefully maybe make it relevant again. We'll see. Maybe not. But I have seen some other Japanese players and stuff try and make Chien Pao still work, and let me spoil you on the horizons. Once we get Black Bolt White Flare with the release of the air balloon, Chien Pao may rise again. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We are right now in Destined Rivals, and we're going to look at how Team Rocket might help out with Chien Pao. Can it? Now, if you have not played or heard of Chien Pao, maybe you're a new player, I don't blame you, because it's been out of, circulation in the meta for a while now, and I still love this guy. This thing used to reign strong. So Chien Pao Baxcalibur used to reign so strong, and now it is not seen a lot. We'll talk about why, but Chien Pao Baxcalibur, it's a solid and straightforward deck, I would say, but can have a lot of intricacy to play it, expertly, let's say, as well. So Chien Pao EX itself has 220 HP. It is frail, it's made of glass, and it has Shivery Chill. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's in the active spot, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic water energy cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Now, you're like, okay, I got 2 water cards in my hand, what am I gonna do with them? Baxcalibur has 160 HP, super cold as its ability. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a basic water energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Okay, this is our answer for all the water energy sitting in our hand. We use Baxcalibur to just attach water energy. And then what? Well, Chien Pao itself has the move Hail Blade for 2 water energy, doing 60 damage each time you discard a water energy from your Pokemon. Not just Chien Pao, it's your Pokemon. So if you have water energy on your bench, guys, that works. You just have to discard, kind of like how Raging Bolt discards energy. Raging Bolt discards energy for 70 apiece. This is 60 apiece, so it's a little less powerful, but we're gonna still try. Chien Pao used to, like I said, reign really well, but now I think with the power creep a little bit, things have gotten so much stronger, so much bigger, so much powerful, and so much more powerful. So that's why Chien Pao kind of struggles a little bit right now. But the Chien Pao believers like myself and some other players are still trying to make it work, even with rotation, even after rotation, even now, because before, what really helped Chien Pao was also Irida. Irida was so good. Irida. So this card is out of rotation right now, but when it was viable, when you could use it, it was search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card, reveal them and put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. This is really great. This was the common play that you would always kind of use or predict for Chien Pao Baxcalibur was, using Irida quickly to do search out Baxcalibur Rare Candy, and you'd be using Baxcalibur Rare Candy to find your Pokemon, to find your Baxcalibur Rare Candy, because you want to get that thing up, because you would just skip Arctibax. Now, a lot of deck lists today do not skip Arctibax because we live in a meta where Badoo reigns and item lock is very possible and deadly, so we want to kind of play around that if we can. For the Chien Pao heads that have not given up, we do have recent standings and deck lists we will look at. Okay, but before we dive into the deck list, I want to cover why Chien Pao is unplayable for some. So we have, like I said, Dragapult is going to be a big threat. Dragapult's a huge threat. Now, one counter to Dust Noir that we don't have, that we should, that Japan has, is, of course, our Psyduck. And Psyduck is not distributed, and this Psyduck has damp. Both Pokemon, yours and your opponent's with abilities that would cause them to be knocked out, have no abilities. So this was printed as a direct counter to Dusclops and Dusknoir, and the Japanese meta has of course reflected that a bit. But even in these lists and stuff, we don't see Psyduck. So don't lose hope. Even without Psyduck, we can maybe make this work. Now, as I said, with Chien Pao Baxcalibur, if you see an opponent playing this, even myself too, you kind of want to gun for Baxcalibur, because Baxcalibur is very clearly, of course, the engine of the deck, and that's what makes this thing run. And if Baxcalibur is gone and no way to get it, it kind of grinds to a halt. So you really have to play trying to keep this thing alive. You gotta find your Frigivax, your 2 Frigivax, in order to, have them set up on the bench. And you probably want to, against Dragapult, like I said, get the 70 HP Frigivax. That 70 HP Frigivax is used in decks and stuff, but it also has a retreat cost of 2, which really makes it hard sometimes. And because we have a lot of other Pokemon with a big retreat cost, we're gonna talk about Air Balloon and that impact later, in another video probably. But yeah, we have that going on. So Baxcalibur is definitely targeted. And then we also lost a big draw supporter with Petrel. Petrel is a card that had an ability where you could draw until you had 5 cards in your hand, and having those on board was really helpful, especially late game Ionos when you could just draw, and it was so great. Well, we don't have the barrel anymore, but we have something else that is handy dandy and it works. We have Varoom and Revavroom, that's right. So Varoom is our starting one, and I think most lists are going to be playing this bottom one right here from Shroud Fable, the 70 HP one to protect against the Dragapult in the meta. It does have a 1 retreat cost, whereas a lot of the other 70 or 80 HP ones have a 2 retreat cost, and then the 60 HP ones, like I said, you can always run, but they are vulnerable to the Dragapults. So that's Varoom, and then if we go ahead and go into the evolution, we have a Revavroom. What a Pokemon, what a name. It's this one with Rumbling Engine. So, Rumbling Engine says that you may discard an energy card from your hand in order to use the ability, and once during your turn you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. So, this is 1 more than Petrel allowed you to do, but at the cost of discarding an energy from your hand. Thankfully, it doesn't have to be a particular color energy, it can just be an energy card, as it specifies. And it's not too bad in Chien Pao because we are going to be running cards that get energy from the discard pile anyway, and we're going to be discarding energy anyway, so it's not too bad, but having this as a draw supporter is really nice. And so that is the main engine guy, literal engine, let's say, that we're going to be seeing in most Chien Pao lists at the time. At right now, I guess. So if we go on ahead, look at all these Pokemon we have. So Iron Hands EX has been here ever since it got released. It has been in Chien Pao because that Ampu Very Much attack can be pulled off rather quickly with 3 water energy and then just 1 lightning energy. And most Chien Pao decks are running 1 lightning energy in there to include the Iron Hands. Not all, but most, I would say, because Iron Hands as an attacker being just quick, easy to get to is very real. But it has a huge retreat cost and stuff as well. And it is a pain to open with that thing. You kind of don't want to open, of course, but you might have to. But it is very much a Pokemon that you have to kind of plan to use. And it's better if it's kind of your opponent doesn't know it's coming, or you're able to just get it running and stuff. So if I don't have Baxcalibur up, powered up and ready to use and stuff, I don't want to find my Iron Hands so quickly. Regigigas is another Pokemon with a huge retreat cost and a huge attack cost that doesn't see a lot of play other than in Chien Pao, because Chien Pao is able to do the 4 cost of the attack with water energy pretty easily. And this thing is actually really good in the deck because it protects against it attacks Dragapult and stuff because it attacks Terra Pokemon for much more damage. Jewel Breaker is doing 100, and then if your opponent's active is a Terra Pokemon, it does 230 more damage. So that is 330 damage onto Terra Pokemon. Terra Pokemon such as Dragapult, that is the big main threat. This is 4 in the meta right now that you might be running into, and it is good to have in the deck for that reason. But like I said, this thing is kind of a sneak attack that has to come out when Baxcalibur and you have the energy, when they're both are kind of ready. Now, in the deck, we're going to be running Frigibacks, of course, but we're probably going to be prioritizing the 70 HP. The problem with the 70 HP one, this is again, we're playing around Dragapult because the 60 HP one can obviously just be knocked out quickly with its Phantom Dive attack and dropping damage counters. But that's why we might have one and then like two 70 HP ones, as we'll be seeing. And stuff like that. But it does have a 2 retreat cost. It's a pain to open with. It's a pain if you have to like navigate around the active spot and kind of, like I said, it'd be easier if we had the balloon right now, but who knows? We'll see how this impacts later on. But that's for now for Jabax. Then our draw support is no longer Barrel. Our draw support is now Revavroom. That is that guy. And the other main staple you might see in a Chien Pao deck is going to be Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. This is, of course, already seen in the meta in different ways with like Terra Box and stuff. This thing has Sob, which during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat, and it does 20 damage. Then Torrential Pump, though, is the main attack we'll be pulling off with 3 Water Energy. You can always put on a Lightning, but ideally, it's probably 3. You may shuffle 3 energy attached to this Pokemon into your deck, and if you do, it does, in addition to the 100 damage to the active, it does 120 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So that's really great. This thing is great for sniping the bench. Right now, there's no bench protection, but with Shaman coming right around the corner, there will be bench protection, so we'll see how much this is utilized after that. But for now, that is index. And now this is the big change with the Destined Rivals, the thing we're talking about, the Rocket package. Now, we're not utilizing all Rocket cards or anything. There's really just these main ones here. Team Rocket's Petrel is one of the Rocket supporter cards that don't rely on you having a Rocket deck. It says search your deck for one trainer card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. This thing can find you trainer cards being item cards, tool, supporters, stuff like that. Very specific thing. What are we searching out with it? We might be utilizing something like Secret Box. We'll take a look at the deck list here, but here are some that I've pulled. You can see that Secret Box is in here along with a 4 count of Petrel. There's, the letter card. Psyduck is in here. Just did a video about that. We do not have Psyduck, and that makes Chien Pao also much harder to utilize. But that's another thing. Go check out that one if you want to hear more. But yeah, that is something to consider with that. That is our Rocket guy. There's also one of Ariana. Now, Ariana kind of does work best if you are playing a full Rocket deck, because it says draw cards until you have 5 in your hand, but if all Pokemon in play are Rocket's Pokemon, you draw until you have 8 in your hand instead. It's a great Rocket supporter if you're playing a Rocket deck, and if you're not, you can still play her, but you're only drawing till 5. However, I can see the inclusion because, sometimes just being able to draw until you have 5 with a supporter, maybe late game or something, who knows, is actually helpful. And being able to find these Rocket supporter cards a little easier with our Rocket's receiver is also relevant. Search your deck for a supporter card with Rocket in its name, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So this is going to help find our Petrel and stuff and people, and hopefully early on, like I said, I think I usually want to be going like second or so just to avoid getting badooed, just to be able to play a supporter, just to get set up, because I think getting set up is really the name of the game here. We've got a lot of little Pokemon. If you want to run a package like this, like with Froakie as well included and Greninja EX, like there is a lot going on, and you need to get set up with your little guys, your Frigibacks, and your Varooms, and all that. So it is a lot of stuff in the deck, and I do like playing these full deck ones. Look, this one has a balloon here. See? So we got balloon stuff happening. This one has the tree A-spec. I love seeing the variety of lists and stuff. Then lastly, the last Team Rocket card that you might see in something like this plays 2 of them, the Stadium card, is going to be Team Rocket's Factory. Once during either player's turn, if that player has played a supporter with Team Rocket in its name from their hand, they may draw 2 cards. This is a good Stadium bump, I guess, if you need the Stadium. You can also choose to run something like Artisan to help get those little Pokemon out, especially in times of need when, you don't have your Buddy Poffin or all your Nest Balls and whatnot, or stuff like that, as you can imagine. But it looks like a build like this first deck list, would be relying a lot on these Rocket supporter cards, and I think really trying to get it early on and get going. It also has 2 Lightning Energy, so it looks like they are really prioritizing the use of Iron Hands, being in the matchups that they get and stuff. And then, like I said, the Psyduck helps a lot with, if you're in Japan, you can play this right now, but that helps turn off the Dust Noir abilities. We'll get that Psyduck eventually, and it's going to be really helpful in those matchups with Dust Noir and Dragapult, because Dust Noir gets turned off with the Psyduck's Damp ability, which is really great. So those are the main guides. There was also another interesting list. This all comes from Pokeka Book. I'll, of course, have the link in the description. So right now we can look at Chien Pao EX, Paojian EX, specifically. And then we can see here, this is Rokettodan no Eiko Kankyo. This is the Team Rocket environment, like the meta with the Team Rocket cards now released. And so that is utilizing them. Then if we look down here, this is a really interesting deck because it's utilizing Levincia. Levincia I was not expecting, because you can use that to get your water energy. I mean, your lightning energy. So let me show you Levincia. This was an interesting inclusion, because this is from Journey Together. This is like Iono stuff. So once during each player's turn, that player may put up to 2 basic lightning energy cards from their discard pile into their hand. So I can see, some energy incursion. This also helps with Reverum, keep in mind, because Reverum does not need water specifically. It just needs any basic, well, it can be special energy too, it looks like, because it doesn't specify basic energy. But yeah, if we have lightning energy we want to discard with Reverum to use its ability, that comes in handy. And then it's another stadium. I guess you can use as a stadium bump and stuff for Levincia. And let me move that over, sorry. So yeah, this one with Levincia is really interesting. And the Rocket one, like I said, this one has a Artisan, this one has a Surfer in there too. What's happening? Another one another like sleeper card that is played sometimes in Chien Pao now is Drayton. You can see a Drayton right there. I kind of like using Drayton. Like, at least just what there was another Surfer. I think it's really, once again, the Surfer allows you to switch your Pokemon around. So that is really great. I think you get to switch your Pokemon and then you get to draw cards until you have like 5 in hand. Let's double check that real fast, because I can see actually the use of that. Because as we talked, we got huge retreat costs on some of these guys. We got a lot of things like that. I've never seen this full art. Who uses Surfer? I guess we are. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, draw cards until you have 5 cards in hand. Yeah. So, like I said, if you're wanting to run the A-Spec Prime Catcher for its strong, gusting opportunities with Chien Pao, but you also want to run something else, maybe you can consider that Surfer. Because Unfair Stamp is another big popular one for Chien Pao decks to utilize. I do like Unfair Stamp. I think that's a fun one. I think if you're doing this Rocket build with Petrel and trying to get Secret Box early to get set up and things and get everything you need, and that is also a reason to play these stadiums, because Secret Box does search out a stadium as well, and you can search that out early on if you can. But yeah, that's something. This one has Hassle, 3 Hassles. What is Hassle doing? I forget. I want to use Hassle at some point, but I love seeing the cards that don't get utilized that much. You can use it only if any of your Pokemon were KO'd during your opponent's last turn. Look at the top 8 cards of your deck, put 3 of them into your hand, shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Okay, I can see trying to get stuff out of that with that. Interesting stuff. The last was Drayton we're gonna look at, I promised. I think that one is just grabbing a Pokemon and item and stuff. So Drayton, not utilized much. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon and a trainer card you find there and put them into your hand, and then shuffle your other cards back into your deck. I like this guy. But like I said, I only see it in Chien Pao in Japan. It's cool. So yeah, those are the things. This one has Badoo. This one has Mew. Sometimes you see Mew, sometimes not. But yeah, it's really interesting to see these different builds set up and how we can make this work. This one is with the Pidgeot, Pidgeot EX. That's cool. I like seeing all of this funny stuff. But this one is with the birds, owls. Crazy, yeah. I like seeing it. This one has the Greninja and the Pidgeot. Man, I love seeing these fun lists. Okay, these are back from like January and February. But if we scroll up, these are the more common ones. But I have seen, yeah, like I said, the Rokettodan decks are really fun. They're really cool. So yeah, that's awesome. So I think that is the general analysis, let's say, and the explanation of things. The thing that makes Chien Pao really tough right now, that really is hard, is like Dragapult, like I said, The fact that it's very low HP, the fact that, you know, there's other stuff like that. Listen, I'm not saying Rocket is gonna be saving it completely, but I think it is fun to post this update, especially if you are like me, trying to get your pet deck to run a little bit better, and it's fun to, you know, try new things with the new meta and stuff, and the new format coming and stuff. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and I am really happy for those who have made it to this point. Thank you so much for watching the video, and so much for listening to my ramblings about Chien Pao. I really love the deck. Like I said, I would love to see a resurgence of it. I think we might be seeing some more play with it once the air balloon comes out, but we're gonna see as the meta evolves and goes through. I would love to win something with Chien Pao before it goes out of rotation, but, you know, this was one step towards it. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you're running this Chien Pao guy. If you have your own little insights and things to share as well, that'd be wonderful. But above all, thank you for watching. Definitely check out the channel if you'd like to see more TCG content and other stuff. Consider subscribing or liking the video if you really enjoyed the content and would love to see more. All that, yada yada yada. Thank you again though for watching. That is enough, and I am really thankful for that. So hope you have a great day. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye!